right and center, making these the most of Zed's abilities there, dashing off to the shadow to avoid ultimates and what have you. We'll have to see though, because the bans are coming in. Zilean going to be banned out. They do ban the cow here, which, as we said, Ejin was just brilliant on yesterday. Rengar also taken away from Carbon, and I think 3 very solid bans out of Dark Passage. Other side, standard red side Kassadin, standard red side Maokai, I think we can say at this point, as well as that Tristana that Legacy didn't want to play against yesterday, but also that Holy Phoenix got his pentakill on.
Yeah, very, very true. And very quick picks and bans, actually. In contrast to yesterday's games, but all of the teams in the wildcard were really taking their time, feeling out their opponents. It feels like nothing has been surprising thus far. Locking in the Lee Sin for Crystal M is just a big comfort pick. He played it 3 times yesterday with a single game on Jarv in the 4th. I am a little surprised that Kog'Maw was not picked up early on, because with Tristana off the table, you sort of feel like Kog'Maw is the next big go-to champion. If Holy Phoenix wants to try Lucian, he needs to be very, very careful that Lucian doesn't get outscaled by a potential hyper carry on the opposite team.
And if we look at yesterday's second encounter that Dark Passage won, exactly the same bans as this game. Exactly the same first pick, and even the champions are very similar as well. We saw in that game, Lee Sin first pick, as is here. Nidalee came out for Dark Passage, as Fabulous will get once again. They took Brown yesterday, but that was taken this time around by Legacy eSports. Orianna was on the field as well, so very familiar picks from both of these teams.
Yeah, and there is one of those hyper carries just locked in that we were talking about. On the side of Legacy, they've taken Jinx away from Holy Phoenix. Holy Phoenix, he ran Jinx, he ran Tristana, he ran Lucian twice. But Kog'Maw's still up. So this could be Legacy saying, we're not sure if you like the Void Puppy, and we'll see if you're going to play it. And I think it's quite smart, denying it or taking that gamble. The one thing that I think Dark Passage need to ensure they continue to lock in is damage. Nidalee's going to build mostly Bruiser, and while she can kill people, it takes a very long time to do so. So I do think they need to make sure they lock in some more damaging picks for these last 2 champions.
Let's see then for these final picks. Lucian, of course, was the choice for Holy Phoenix in their first encounter yesterday, which Legacy ended up winning. And to be honest, certainly if you compare it to his other games, the Lucian had very little impact in that one. Will we see Twisted Fate coming in as well? With Nidalee, that's 2 very, very scary, not just mobile champions, but 2 champions that are going to cause you problems in split pushing scenarios later on.
Dark Passage have got all of the makings of a heavy split push team. Nidalee wants to be drawing aggro in the top lane. Twisted Fate can jump in and get involved at any stage once he has got their destiny. And with a jungler like Lee Sin, you also have the possibility to get involved and make those picks even faster. The one thing that you don't really see on the side of Dark Passage is a very straight-up team fight team. If they ever get caught in a 5v5 scenario, they're not the best. They want to kite. They want to dart back and forth, in and out, and they're going to be relying on touch to put good flays down in good boxes. I also want to give some props to Naru. 5 games played, 5 different champions. Every single game he's played thus far in the Wildcard tournament in Gamescom, he's played a different champion each time.
Wow, final pick in here for Legacy is going to be Nunu, and we actually saw them yesterday hovering over Nunu in that final game, but Carbon obviously having the Rengar banned away against him. Nunu, you know, we've seen sporadic Nunu appearances across the board in that jungle role. Makes it very, very easy, I think, here for Legacy to be attacking towers when you've got the likes of Jinx who just shreds them. And then you get Nunu in there with his Blood Boil. That's very scary from Dark Passage.
It really is. And if you ever get Nunu and Braum into the middle of multiple members of Dark Passage, the AoE slow from Glacial Fissure and Absolute Zero is going to be monumentally effective. If Irelia is able to get the speed boost from Orianna, and they can make sure they combo their zones of slow from both of the Freljord champions, it's going to keep Dark Passage in place, but the difficulty is getting them locked down. If Legacy are unable to track them down and place effective ultimates, I feel like Dark Passage may be able to run circles around them, and that's what they have to do with their team comp.
Well, with the champions locked in, who do you guys think are going to win this series? Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag DPWin or LGCWin to let us know. Of course, it was Legacy who had the slight advantage, 59% I think it was, in favor of them from the LOLesports.com vote. Might change around a little here with these different team comps to what we've been used to out of them from the last day.
It might a little bit, and I think for this game, the initial lane swap, if one will happen, is going to be very, very crucial. Nidalee can make Irelia's life so difficult in the opening early levels of the game. And yesterday, we've seen it come to fruition. It was a double lane swap. We've seen Irelia being tower dove while dealing with a Nidalee. And we'll see what the teams decide to do.
So here we go then into game for the first match of this best of 5. A spot at Worlds is on the line here as Dark Passage face off against Legacy eSports. How is this one all going to go down? For Dark Passage, you have to feel Naru, who's shown a lot of variation, a lot of ability to change on the fly, picking different champions, different styles of champions throughout it. Choo-Choo's himself in the mid lane on the other side, been fantastic so far. And are we going to be seeing a level 1 invade here? We've seen that these teams are not scared of getting involved in the early stages.
Yeah, but there's a very, very good ward from Legacy, so they're going to see Dark Passage on the invade. And look at how Legacy are grouping up. They've got a 5-man. If Dark Passage continue, they're going to run into multiple members of Legacy. I do want to quickly highlight, Minky-Well has started with the Crystalline Flask. I believe he's going to be looking for the 1v1. That item is purely for sustain and to deal with the harass that Fab's going to be putting down.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the lane scenario plays out. I also feel if Cardred and Ejim can play aggressively, they should be able to punish Holy Phoenix and Touch, because the Jinx Braum combo is very, very strong.
And add the Nunu in there, and you're having a few problems. We'll see how that one goes, though. It looks like we will be seeing the duo lane of Dark Passage headed down to that bottom lane. And seems like we'll have the mirror on the other side for Legacy as well. Braum and Jinx taking the long route around the jungle here, and will be coming into lane. So that gives us the standard lane starts. I'm really interested to see how Carbon really does here on Nunu, because, well, we know Nunu is a champion that can snowball.
Yeah, and I just think the problem with him is if he doesn't get that snowball going, he's also a champion that can do absolutely zero. So it's a very risky pick, and I'm not entirely convinced, but we'll see if he can deliver. We'll see if he's going to make either of our blood boil.
Wow, really pushing it there for that last one. It's your birthday, though, I'll let you off. And Carbon just finishing his red buff there. Down in his bottom lane, actually Dark Passage being very aggressive to get that first wave down. Mid lane, Naru versus Choo-Choo's definitely going to be an important one overall. Choo-Choo's going to do a lot of early harassment here.
And he's doing a very, very good job. In terms of the trades, because of the auto-attack steroid that Orianna has with her passive, she should theoretically be able to beat Naru anytime they go head-to-head. And the zoning with the command attack is working in favor of Choo-Choo's very, very nicely. Top lane, as we talked about, Fab should have the advantage, at least up until level 6, or until Minky-Well gets an item or two when he can try to duel Fab. But for the time being, just a very safe defensive start for Minky-Well on this Irelia.
Yeah, and Fabulous not harassing as much as I'd maybe expect in these early stages onto Minky-Well where he can. And, you know, we've seen this often enough. Nidalee versus Irelia is not a strong lane generally for Irelia. There's a lot of harassment to be done just by those auto attacks and the ranged advantage that Nidalee's going to have. Mid lane, 15 to 14, very, very early in that laning phase, but they are currently level as Carbon and Crystal M going to meet up here. There comes the snowball, and not really going to do a lot to break that shield.
No, not this time around. Crystal M, he had some very good games yesterday, and I actually like his Lee Sin play, but we need to see how he's going to interact with the lane, because you know, Nidalee, unless she's able to poke Minky-Well down, it's going to take a while before they can really put any sort of kill pressure onto that Irelia. But you see in the bottom lane, that's a good death sentence. But Ejim has blocked almost all of that damage thanks to that unbreakable shield.
Yeah, not really a problem for him there, getting hooked.
We'll see how he continues to play out. I think this bottom lane, we see them playing fairly passive. Every time we do poke our eyes down, Ejim is trying to throw out that skill shot to connect with Holy Phoenix and Touch, but it's not really paying off into any trades, and it's actually Kadra that's falling behind. He's got 0 mana. So if these fights were to break out, Holy Phoenix has got a small advantage there.
See what Carbon can do here in the top lane. Gonna come through the brush. Nidalee quite far up the lane, so Fabulous. We'll see what he can do. Obviously, got the extra mobility in there now, right from level 1, and he kind of just does a bit of damage there to Carbon, who's probably just going to have to turn away. Meanwhile, Naru in the mid lane getting very, very low as well. Of course, gone full utility in his summoner spells, running the Ghost and Flash combo, which means Choo-Choo's in a fight scenario there is going to have the upper hand, that Ignite to finish off.
Yeah, but I think that is... it is just a systemic of the Twisted Fate pick. He wants to be impacting side lanes. He needs the mobility. And despite the fact that Choo-Choo's has been bullying him, it didn't actually equate into a very big CS advantage. So we need to see if Choo-Choo's does continue that level of aggression once he has his ultimate and looks for kills.
Well, Naru has Destiny out of the game, so we'll get him straight back in there in a second and we can get this one back underway. Just having a quick client restart. So we're 5 minutes into this one. Gold in advantage for Dark Passage at this point. Only a slim one though, so we'll see how that one all starts to work out. Uncharacteristic, 5 minutes in, we've not seen 10 kills yet. Like
yeah, I'm disappointed. I am very disappointed, and I think these teams need to step it up. You know, 110 kills in 4 games for Dark Passage, 88 kills in 4 games for Legacy. Those were some hell of exciting matches. But what we do know from Legacy is once they have an item spike, an item power threshold, they do go ham.
Well, that's the thing, right? When it starts, it's not going to stop.
Yes,
if
correct.
Yesterday taught us anything, is that these teams are more than willing to just get in there and do the dirty, have a good fight. And I'm assuming that once they get there, once these items start coming in, that will be the case here as well. Just to quickly run through the lanes and how they're all working out. It's pretty even overall. Orianna slight lead over Twisted Fate in the mid, as you might expect. AD carry, though, that's where the real difference is. 10 CS lead so far for Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, so I was anticipating Ejim and Cardred going a little more aggressive onto Holy Phoenix and Touch to try get some lane dominance down. But Cardred's burned through all of his mana, so he simply can't get involved. He can't use his spell reel for any of those trades, and I think it is costing him a small amount of CS. There is a fairly large wave that's built up, so it's only 5 at this point in time. And Carbon sticking around. I mean, he's babysat Minky Whale for a while, and I think it's a smart call because Nidalee does have the advantage at the early stages of the game.
And even with that extra pressure there, Fabulous doing a great job as Hawk just goes flying between the AD carry and support of Legacy. That lane's still going very well, though, for Holy Phoenix.
And, you know, CSing under the tower, Cardred and Ejim a little bit out of sync there. Of the 4 CS I was watching, only 3 of them were actually, only 1 of them was actually picked up by Cardred. 3 taken by the tower. Not really landing the auto attacks or syncing up quite as effectively as they should. I do see Carbon as working his way towards that Quill Coat once more, and going to be getting that Spirit of the Ancient Golem. And interesting to note, yesterday, even on high damage junglers, like Elise, he still ended up building the Quill Coat, going the defensive route, and actually picking up Sight Stones. So we'll see if he does the same thing on Nunu, because it was a slightly different build path, slightly different itemization than I would say I'm used to seeing.
Fabulous, doing good amounts of damage there to Minky Whale. Took an auto attack, or a turret hit, which is, you know, a turret auto attack, I suppose we can say. The hook does land. Cardred not taking too much damage there, but with him and Jim around about half HP, they've done well to bully back on that front. This mid lane, though, continues to stay very, very even. Choo-Choo's doing a fantastic job there under the tower CS. He's going to go Athene's Unholy Grail for the start. Double Doran's Ring came out of Naru. Nunu's on the other side with Carbon. We'll see where Naru decides to actually go. Could see him just basically going exactly the same path there and taking that extra mana regen, although maybe the magic resistant AP a little bit later is something that he's going to be more valuable.
Yeah, the interesting thing about these 2 team compositions is they both scale very, very effectively. So it just feels like both teams are fairly happy to continue CSing. Minky Whale's taken a lot of damage there. Needs to be careful because the moment Fab goes into that Cougar form, should be able to look for that execute. And also Naru now has Destiny available. So if any of these lanes begin pushing against Dark Passage, all of a sudden Naru can look for opportunities to move around. But I think we also have to highlight the fact that Crystal M has been non-existent he's not made any gank attempts or similar.
Oh, this is bad for Minky Whale. Fabulous going to go diving in with the spear. Will get the first blood. And 1v1s in the top lane at the highest level, you just don't often see straight out kills like that.
No, that was just a misplay from Minky and very well played by FabFab. FabFab had already shown how much burst damage he had when he swapped into that Cougar form, and Minky Whale just stuck around picking a fight that he really didn't want. Earlier on, he did have the backup of a fairly large minion wave, but that was all dead by the time the duel started, and that CS advantage grown to 20 in favor of Dark Passage.
Roger did decide to stick around there though. Again, mana pool completely depleted. Really having to use a lot of that just to stay in this one. Well, struggling, that's for sure. We've actually seen there the recall from Dark Passage's bottom lane. Is Twisted Fate gonna pop his destiny, but actually he's just going home.
Not quite sure what the plan was. There were a few champions missing, so that could have been a, Dragon check, potentially. But either way, first Destiny used. It is on a fairly high cooldown, over 2 minutes at this stage, 137 seconds with the blue buff. So, going to be a while before that threat is up. And you did see that both Carbon as well as Ejim moved towards Dragon, but they didn't have either of their carries really with them to try and challenge it, and they backed away.
Minky Whale once again taking a bit of a beating on this top side of the map. Ejim gonna try and get in on towards Touch and gonna force a flash away as well as Nunu comes in. Crystal M going very, very deep. There's the absolute zero coming out. Does a full damage to Crystal M. He's gonna go low. Ejim will actually get that kill. But Holy Phoenix and Naru there as well. Wildcard's gonna bring Carbon low. Summon a heal will be used. Naru's still there to do the damage. Orianna gonna come across. Carbon surely gonna go down. They get a stun. Shockwave onto Holy Phoenix as well. He's gonna fall. And now they turn their attention over to the bottom lane again. Touch gonna go down to half HP. And in the end, it's all about legacy.
Yeah, well, that's going on. There's a fight up in the top lane. Minky's in trouble.
Oh, underneath his tower, Fabulous goes low. Spear doesn't quite connect. Heal from Fabulous as well. Are they going to go at this one once again? He's trying to land the spear in there, but the minions will block.
Minky Whale has mana, FabFab does not. Minky's got to be so careful with this Cougar form. I think he wants to look for the execute, but this is so scary. Okay, bottom lane, 2-for-0 trade in favor of Legacy. They darted in and out of combat and had the support of Choo-Choo's. Dark Passage just could not execute. Oh, here we go, FabFab. I think he wants Minky or vice versa.
He's come too close, though, and Minky Whale getting the sustain there with his ultimate. We saw Twisted Fate running up towards that top lane, but again, a simple 1 versus 1 in the top lane results in a kill, this time in the other direction.
Yeah, FabFab was shaking his head. He was not happy with that one. And rightfully so. He should not really have stuck around, despite the fact he had that executing Cougar form, etc. But Minky Whale just had all of the sustain, so gonna jump over. Very, very good Transcendent Blades on the minion wave. So Minky ends up healing up with a flask, healing up with his abilities, and executes FabFab. Dark Passage have to work on their focusing in those sort of messy team fights, because they could have got more in the river fight if they had been able to focus the right targets.
Just after those kills down on the bottom side, I actually realized that both of them went over to Ejim, who's now sat at 2-0-0 on the Braum. We'll see if he wants to get involved here once again. Needs to be careful though, because Crystal M is there. We are going to be seeing Nunu come down to that bottom side as well. Blood Boil goes on towards Cardrin. Lantern taken. Where is the slow coming in? Holy Phoenix in trouble as Minky Whale joins in with a TP. There's a TP on the other side, but that will actually be cancelled there by Fabulous.
So very, very well played by Legacy. They managed to pull the support of Carbon. Minky Whale teleports in behind Dark Passage, and it allows them to secure yet another kill. The thing you've got to keep an eye on, though, is despite the fact that Legacy have these kills, they are behind in a fair amount of CS in the top and AD carry role. Crystal M's thinking about the steal. We'll see if he's going to go in. And a couple seconds, that Sonic Wave's going to time out. I think that's smart by Legacy. Waiting for it, and then he jumps it still.
Yeah, he's already used his flash earlier on, used the safeguard to go to the ward. He's going to go down. Shockwave from Choo-Choo's, trying to connect onto Touch. Didn't quite have the right direction there. Touch is able to walk away. Meanwhile, top lane went down. And Minky Whale and Fabulous once again having a brawl under the tower. Oh, there is Twisted Fate getting involved, and Cardrid completely out of position here. That's a free kill for Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, really should not have been there. Naru was able to make use of that destiny the moment it came back up. And just like we talked about, Joe, the moment the fights start, they come thick and fast because these guys have been just going at it for the last couple of minutes. And again, keep an eye on those CS advantages. Minkwell is down 40 CS in the top lane. There's a 20 CS lead in favor of Holy Phoenix, and Carbon, the Yeti, has found the Cougar.
Absolute Zero comes in, and he just leaps over. Choo-Choo's around the side, and Fabulous going to be in a slight bit of a problems here as the Ignite is used onto him, and that is going to be a kill. There is Crystal M, though, trying to go in. Choo-Choo's going to flash away. Naru will join. Wildcard will get the kill. Can they get any more, though? Irelia's coming down to help out, and Carbon is able to harass them away, but that will result in a 1-for-1 for Fabulous, and Choo-Choo's going down.
Yeah, so we did see the roam from Legacy. They managed to surround Fab, but because they were playing the surround game, they were not grouped for the support that Dark Passage put down. So 6 kills to 3. Legacy still behind in gold, thanks to that creep score difference, as you can see on the graph. And I think Legacy need to make sure they grab some more CS. Now that they've lost 2 towers in the top and bottom lane, they should be able to try and manage those minion waves and make it riskier for Dark Passage to push deep into their territory.
Carbon unable to really stop Naru here. He's done a good chunk of damage onto that outer middle turret. And final outer turret that's actually left standing here for Legacy. Needs to be careful, though. The rest of the team started to move up there, but actually the bottom lane are just going to help out with that blue buff pickup, so no real danger for Naru in that middle lane. Destiny will be coming off cooldown in just a few moments as well, so far, been pretty impressed with Naru in that Destiny, being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, barring the first one, the second one was definitely good. And we need to see how he uses it to try and punish Cardred. Oh, there's so many people. Choo-Choo's is in trouble.
Yeah, in more than trouble, I think. The stun into an easy hook, and actually using the shockwave there to try and stay alive, but not going to help him, and that is a kill over for Crystal M. His first of the game. Looks like this tower in mid lane is down, though.
Yeah, there's not enough members of Legacy to defend, and also the reliable wave clear is with Choo-Choo's. Carbon and Cardred, they've got to be a little careful. Egypt's been caught.
Oh, into the box as well. Half of his health disappears. Absolute Zero going to come down. There is a kill onto touch. Nicely done by Cardred, and now they're going to keep chasing the slows from that rocket, the zap, and of course the snowball, and in the end causing them to run away. Some of the heal was actually burnt there by Holy Phoenix. Naru going very deep, just trying to catch on to Carbon. Gets him low, not a kill though.
That was a very good example of how powerful the ultimates are from Carbon and Egypt. If Choo-Choo's had been involved in the fight and was able to get some of those dissonance and shockwaves down, the damage onto the members of Dark Passage would have taken them out. Because you've seen, pay very careful attention to the Glacial Fissure from Egypt. He's going to throw it down in a second, and Carbon instantly starts channeling the Absolute Zero. That is a massive amount of slow across the entirety of the lane. Unfortunately for Legacy, they did not have their primary AP damage, nor did they have Minky Whale, and those are the two sort of players that you're going to be looking at to help clean up those team fights with the mobility, with the ability to chase down.
Fabulous trying to clear out a ward there. We'll get some damage onto Choo-Choo's as he does it. Of course, Naru decided to go Morel and Omicron first, got a needlessly large rod in there on top of his Sorcerer's Shoes as well. Other side, simple Athene start, blasting one picked up as well now by Choo-Choo's. But that mid lane CS stayed very, very level. Top lane is a bit of a different story, as is the AD carry role as well. Definitely going in favor of Dark Passage there.
Yeah, it is, but thanks to the kills and the Dragon, despite being down 3 towers, Legacy are only down 2,000 gold. With their composition, they're actually not doing too badly. The only thing they need to be careful of is giving up these inner towers and too much of their jungle. Because if Dark Passage continue to pressure and continue to gain map control, that's how they can close the game out. Here's another fight going.
Well, trying to bait them in there. Absolute Zero again, going to come down. And there's Twisted Fate coming in. Stun card goes on towards Carbon. God burst the damage from the Wildcard flashing. Holy Phoenix going deep. Gets himself one. The hook on Tweejian will get them a second. Choo-Choo's now coming around, but you have to feel just a little bit too late.
Yeah, Legacy should not have picked that fight. It was a mistake. They need all of their ultimates. Fab and Minkwell continue to trade, and Egypt did not have his Glacial Fissure up. They needed that. Minkwell may have Fab.
And may, looking like it could turn into a certainty. They both flash simultaneously. Fab manages to get away though.
That was ridiculous reaction speed. Minkwell almost anticipating that flash and going with him. Unfortunately, not able to get in range to land any more spells. And the risk for Legacy, despite being down a small amount of gold, is losing control of their jungle, losing control of their buffs. If Dark Passage ward up effectively and begin to take control of the map, that's how they strangle Legacy out of the game. That's how they deny them their resources and deny them the farm. But they need to play the ward game much better than they did yesterday. Yesterday, Dark Passage only purchased 55 wards. Literally half of what Legacy purchased. Legacy picked up 111 wards over the course of their games. So we'll keep an eye on that. For the time being, Dark Passage do have fairly solid warding, but not in their opponent's jungle, where I think they need to be more proactive.
Really, Dragon going over again to Legacy, so they've got a very good hold on that objective. And we're about to hit that 20-minute mark, so let's run down how things stand. Just a 2,000 gold difference, 3-0 up in towers are Dark Passage, and they have to feel those Dragons, and of course the 7 kills that are on the other side as well, really keeping Legacy in this game. But they need to start getting something their way. They need to start taking those towers again to really level up this game and try and pull ahead.
Yeah, I think Legacy are just going to be looking for those team fights. I mean, the thing that helped them beat Dark Passage yesterday was very aggressive plays from Egypt in the mid game. And while he doesn't have Alistar, he's going to be able to flash Glacial Fissure. He's still going to be able to knock people up. He's still going to be able to make very strong engages. So that's the man that I'm going to be looking at to start things off. And assuming Carbon can put down that absolute zero in an effective location, the rest of Legacy can look to clean up. But look at this, Dark Passage, with all outer towers down at 20 minutes, steal the blue buff away. They're stamping authoritative control on the map.
And you already see that Fabulous trying to get that split push in action, pushing up the mid lane. Minky Whale, the one that's actually gone there to stop him. Naru will move down onto the bottom lane as well. So really trying to utilize their composition here to pull Legacy all over the map. Still, I think Naru needs to be a little bit careful if Choo Choo's decides to go all in onto him, especially since that death cap is almost done. Hook comes out, not quite landing though.
So I think I want to keep my eye on Fab. Yesterday, when he did play Nidalee, I felt like he could have done more split pushing, but I also think it's a little bit of an unfair criticism because they got ahead and then he just stuck with his team, right? So he was looking for team fights. So let's see how Fab plays the lanes. Is alone in the top lane, has got himself that Trinity Force. He's losing the jewels to Minky Whale, so he's got to be a little cautious. But I like the fact that Dark Passage are looking for the 1-3-1 split push with both of their solo laners trying to dictate the tempo of the map.
Carbon there, we can see constant snowballs coming out of him. Another hook from touch won't be landing. Not sure they'd really have the damage there to follow up onto Carbon as well without Nidalee or Twisted Fate being involved. Holy Phoenix himself though got that Bladed Rune King, now got a Ghost Blade added in. Other side, Infinity Edge first item, and there we see Choo Choo decides to put down the damage on towards Naru and actually brings him very, very low. Had to use his ultimate though. There's the hook on towards Egypt. He's going to block it all.
Yeah, Egypt's going to be able to get away. You know, it kind of feels like Legacy maybe want to make something happen, but the threat of that Destiny from Twisted Fate, despite the fact that he is low in HP, he can join the fight to spam out those wild cards. So we've got a grouping in the mid lane. We see Crystal Lemurs roaming towards the bottom. If Choo Choo gets caught by either Lee Sin or Twisted Fate, there's going to be trouble. And there's Crystal Lim going in.
He's going very deep on this one, going to go underneath the tower. Actually decides to flash away, and wisely so. Choo Choo's just dived in on top of him. They get one kill. Meanwhile, Holy Phoenix getting himself onto the rampage by taking down Minky Whale.
So this time round, Holy Phoenix is making the Lucian work against Legacy. They not only grab themselves a kill, but they also grab the first inner turret of the game and pull even further ahead. It's now a 4,000 gold lead. Legacy are starting to lose their grip on this match. Fab is going to have a tough time defending the tower though, so let's see if Legacy can secure their first tower of the game.
Uh-oh, Twisted Fate's going to get involved. They're actually going to go on towards Cardrin. Can they finish him off though? Holy Phoenix at the back, losing range on them, and Carbon really keeping him out as the absolute zero going to be used. Cardrin very, very low. Carbon low as well. There's the kill though on towards Naru, which gets the excitement going for Cardrin. He's able to, with that, walk away. Meanwhile, Minky Whale now joining into the fight as well. Jim going to go low. He will fall in the end. Holy Phoenix now unstoppable. There's another kill for touch. Minky Whale in all kinds of problems. The hook was a little bit wide, let's call it. And it's Minky Whale being chased down now. There is the cue from Lee Sin connecting. Good flash over the top from Minky Whale, but Fabulous followed through and swiped him down.
Another terrible fight for Legacy. They didn't have Minky Whale with them. They didn't have Choo Choos with them. Yes, they were trying to push the tower down, and unfortunately for them, Naru was able to jump in. Legacy stuck around, they committed to the fight, and they ended up losing 4, only securing 1 kill in the trade. Dark Passage have not given up though, and they're continuing to siege up, and we do see Legacy are going to be able to at least defend this tower, but I think they're maybe looking for more.
Holy Phoenix, they're doing the damage to Carbon and flying away with the help of Toucher's Lantern. And he's 5-2-5 now, Holy Phoenix, and we've seen what happens when this guy gets rolling once he starts to get a few kills. Let's have a look at that one again, starting off with Twisted Fate coming in.
Yeah, and it's just the 3 members of Legacy, despite holding out for so long, they need Irelia with them, they need Orianna with them. Initially it was 3v3, it becomes a 3v4, and here comes Minky Whale, but it's too late. He teleported into the fight, and I like the way that Carbon and Ejim are using their ultimates. I feel like they're doing it appropriately. The fact that they held off for so long and survived for long enough was a testament to how well they stacked their crowd control or used it. But unfortunately, Legacy just did not have the full complement of team members with them, and they end up losing 4 of their players in that scenario.
Yeah, really stretching things out here for Dark Passage. Over 5,000 gold is the lead, and they're finally going to get themselves down there and have a hand on this next dragon. No one around there from Legacy to stop that one. And the problem is they've lost that inner turret in the top lane. They've lost the inner turret in the mid lane. Only the bottom inner turret is left standing here. And that becomes then the obvious target. And then Legacy are down to just their base. And
the thing that's very difficult for Legacy is they have to all in. Because if Dark Passage gets the inhibitor turret, with the spears from Nidalee, with the wild cards from Twisted Fate, and then a culling every now and again if Holy Phoenix wants to, Legacy can just get poked away from the tower, and then they simply can't engage. And while Braum and Orianna can be seen as hard engage, if they mess up a Glacial Fissure or Shockwave, it's very difficult for them to continue that team fight. So we need to see how effectively they can start these fights, and if they can have everyone. They're going all on touch.
And that was a pretty simple kill. Took 2 ultimates though. Shockwave now down. Super Mega Death Rocket also going down from Cardrid, but gets them the kill. Meanwhile, Minky Whale is over on the top lane, managing to get that turret down. Funnily enough, the first one of the game there for Legacy.
Yeah, and I think Legacy are going to need to look for more towers if they want to close this gold gap. Minky Whale, he's got a Frozen Heart Spirit Visage Fab to deal with, and he's not in the mood for a duel, instantly retreating. Decent swing. Remember, this all comes from using those ultimates to kill touch. Dark Passage no longer have that peel and protection that they need for their mobile champions. And Legacy, they claw a small gold gain back, but they still need to do a lot more work to close the gold lead that Dark Passage have built up.
Choo Choo's also just scouting out his own blue buff, which has now been stolen 2 or 3 times in a row. Always a good thing to be able to pull off there from Dark Passage's side. Means that Nidalee will have a blue buff, means that Twisted Fate will also have one as well. And Legacy probably need a few wards down in their own jungle if they're to do anything.
Yeah, I think for Legacy, they need to find ways to initiate when they have their carries, because every time Legacy have been involved in fights, Minky Whale and Choo Choos have not been with them. So grouping, and I think reading the scenario, reading the potentials is something they need to try work on. They were trying to siege that mid lane earlier on, and may have forgotten about the Twisted Fate ultimate, which is why they got jumped on, why they got surprised. But they are also playing a lot less aggressive. If you look at Legacy, they're not looking for the big team fights in this game, if you contrast it to yesterday's matches.
Shockwave coming on towards Naru. Wildcard will connect though. He manages to get the kill. Zhonya's comes up, but he gets blown to pieces. The Absolute Zero doing the damage after the fact. And it was actually Minky Whale that finished off the kill. But top lane's been pushed out by Fabulous, and the rest of the team's going in for it.
Really not sure they needed all of those ultimates, because now it's going to be more difficult for the follow-up tower defense.
Fabulous actually taking the Lantern away. They're trying to get in towards Holy Phoenix. Good damage done. Super Mega Death Rocket goes through, but not doing the damage that they were looking for, not getting the execute onto Holy Phoenix. So They lose Naru, get a bit of damage onto that top turret. Bring out a couple of ultimates from the Legacy side as well. There's a hook on towards Ejim, caught out inside his own jungle, and he's pretty tanky at this point, so will lose half of his health. The Culling gonna do a lot as well as it goes through. Holy Phoenix gets the kill with that, now dominating. There's a kick, Cardred caught out, straight into the hook as well, and it looks like Dark Passage here are gonna pick themselves 2 kills and maybe an in-him turret with that, or even Baron that they're pinging now.
And that was what you were talking about with the wards. If Legacy had better vision in their jungle, they would not have been out of position and caught out by Dark Passage. Legacy simply walk into the bushes, face check, and give up multiple kills. In addition, because they didn't have those key ultimates, they weren't able to turn it around. They weren't able to get away. Dark Passage should have a fairly safe Baron. Choo-Choo's is maybe hinting towards going there, but I think he'll be far too late. And Baron, uncontested, secured by Dark Passage. Just poor warding and poor vision from the Oceanic squad. I mean, there's the vision. Perfect from the spectators. They showed you that Ejim full-on face checked. Didn't anticipate it. There's no absolute zero from Carbon. There was no Glacial Fissure. If Ejim had his ulti, he could have prevented Dark Passage chasing him down. And a very, very good death sentence onto Cardred just to, you know, seal the deal and guarantee the Baron.
I was very Shooker Nif-esque and kicked straight into the hook coming out. Crystal M once again showing that he is a big playmaker for this Dark Passage team. And that leaves them pretty damn far ahead now, closing in on a 10,000 gold lead. Look at Naru's items, despite going down a couple of times here. Death Cap Zhonya's, Morella Nomicon. He's an item ahead from his opposite number there, as Legacy finally do get a few wards down on the top side of their own jungle. It's able to secure a red buff for the AD carry.
I'd like to see Dark Passage going for the 1-3-1 split, because the only real reliable, safe wave clear from Legacy is Orianna. Yes, you can rely on Cardred to use those rockets in the range, but it's not ideal because of the threat of being caught out. So if Legacy are pulled apart and Choo-Choo's is defending one lane, it allows the rest of Dark Passage to get some damage on the other lanes. So I like the fact that Fab is pulling the attention of Choo-Choo's bottom and look at the rest of the team in the other lanes. It is the smart way to play it, and use the regen from Baron. So you can take some poke, maybe take a turret hit or two while you get some auto attacks down, and then just continue playing the split push game.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Fabulous taking the damage from Orianna, seemingly not really caring about that. And we are going to see a Destiny coming into the back. They're going to go for Choo-Choo. Shockwave will bring him in, but that's not going to be enough to save his life. Zhonya's used by Naru at the back, the absolute zero. Doesn't really do all that much, but there's the super mega death rocket. Cardred manages to get a kill. There's the Culling coming through. A lot of it going to be blocked out there by Unbreakable. I don't think they're going to keep chasing either. They got the slow onto Crystal M, but no follow-up. Okay,
so they trade 1-for-1, and Fab is continuing to split push. Minky Well, he's looking for a fight, though. The support of Crystal M is going to instantly turn him away. I'm not sure if the tower dive was 100% necessary if Dark Passage are unable to take towers, because look at how effective Fab is dealing with Minky Well. He's split pushing. The same token, though, it is the wave clear that's denied from Choo-Choo's that may have opened up all of that tower damage. So I don't know, it's a bit of a opinionated call whether you think it works or not.
There's another Dragon for Dark Passage, not a challenge in sight from Legacy. We actually saw Infinity Edge there picked up as well for Holy Phoenix, so he is very, very scary. Got almost 2,000 gold to spend at this point. 1,200 on the mid laner, 1,800 on the top laner as well, so extra items going to be picked up. Looks like Guardian Angel is going to be next on the cards for Holy Phoenix.
Fab just bought a BF sword. So he's got Frozen Heart, Spirit Visage, Trinity Force, and a BF sword. We'll see what that gets upgraded into, but for the time being, nobody's really been able to 1v1 him. And as long as Fab is pulling the attention of Legacy, that's their key into this matchup. I felt that Nidalee may have been ban-worthy, but if you looked at Legacy's bans, they took away Maokai, Kassadin, and Tristana. So giving Fab Nidalee was a bit of a calculated risk, because they took everything else off the table that was very, very scary in their eyes.
Well, that's a funny thing, and one that they have to at some point let through because of only having 3 bans. Nidalee goes through, and Fabulous says, yes please, does incredibly well with it so far. Maybe a consideration in the next game for Legacy as to whether they let that Nidalee go through, or maybe even try and get it onto Minky Whale in that next game. as they move over to blue side, but we'll see about that later on. For now, Dark Passage looking to crack the inhibitor circle, sorry.
We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant. Trying to get onto the inhib turrets. And again, they're just going back to the split push. Destiny is available. Hourglass is up. We'll see if Naru wants to try to do the tower dive into Choo-Choo's again and then lead to some tower damage. But I just think the siege power of their poke is quite strong. So just trying to find an opportunity. It appears to be it's all on Fab. Holy Phoenix and Naru have not really made much of an attempt to get on the towers. But look at the damage that Fab's put on Minky Whale and how little has really been returned.
Yeah, Minky Whale just going in there and he's like, you know what, I don't actually do damage to this guy. That could be a worrying trend if I'm to somehow hold on to these inhibitor turrets. Meanwhile, Naru is now getting into more of a split push position. Touch going to come through as well. It was a fairly obvious hook, and there is Naru just going to Zhonya's straight through the shockwave and takes the lantern to safety.
Yeah, so Choo-Choo's shockwave not available if a fight were to break out. Not massively impactful if Carbon and Ejim are able to put their ultimates down properly. But as you can see, Dark Passage are not presenting a real opportunity for Legacy to engage upon. And they're just going to continue playing the split push role. We do see that Minky Whale forced to use his ultimate to wave clear, and right now, Dark Passage are grouping themselves up. There's a recall from Naru, but he does have Destiny, so if he does want to join the fight, he can get in fairly quickly.
The rest of the team just quite happy to join Fabulous on that top side, get some more damage onto the turret. They need to be a little careful here, to Legacy. We've shown already that they'll quite happily jump in. Meanwhile, Crystalem pushing out that mid lane as well. Good move from Ejim to block most of that damage, but Carbon already took the brunt of it, down to less than half HP, will be forced to walk back into base. It looks like Dark Passage might be backing off here, looking to spend a lot of gold. There's almost 2,000 on the AD carry. Guardian Angel's coming up here for Holy Phoenix.
Very, very, very small chips from Dark Passage. They got a fair amount of damage taken off the bottom lane tower. That's sitting a little above half. They got a little bit of damage on the top lane tower. They're going in on Naru.
Oh, and it's constant slows here from Jinx, from Nunu as well. There is a zap coming in. Naru actually will pop his ghost, but I don't see him getting away from it. There is Absolute Zero. Naru decides it's time to use her Zhonya's. In the end, though, they just pile on. Choo-Choo is able to finish off with the bulk, but Dark Passage queuing up for Baron that spawns in 5 seconds.
So Dark Passage spent nearly 8 minutes attempting to siege. They had Baron, they went for the tower dive, they did not get any of those inhibitor turrets down despite taking a lot of HP off 2 of them. We'll see if Legacy can get in time. I don't think they will. Baron should be secured quickly enough because Fab simply doesn't have the speed to get in there, and now all of a sudden, Legacy, they have been looking for a fight, but they can't pull it off. Dark Passage grabbed the second Baron of the game, and I think they're just going to go back to this extended siege, to be honest with you.
Minky Whale getting aggressive on this one, but didn't really have the rest of his team there within range to do anything about it. Follow up with those slows. And Fabulous, just up on this top side, just going to continue that split push roll. Choo-Choo's finally going to get a blue buff back here. We'll see how that impacts them. You see that they've backed away here of Legacy to deal with Fabulous pushing the top lane.
And unfortunately, because Legacy, have lost complete control of the map, they are so far behind in CS, they are still 14,000 gold down. But Dark Passage don't have a team composition. Oh, that's a massive hit to Cadre.
And Holy Phoenix can afford to be a little more aggressive here because of that Guardian Angel that he picked up on his last round home. And there is the moving towards that turret, trying to get in there to finish that one off. Ejim actually stepping forward here, looking for a possible ultimate, but decided against it. Meanwhile, surprise, surprise, Fabulous on the top side of the map, going for it once again. Gonna take a lot of damage. Here comes Twisted Fate. Carbon's gonna be the target. He's pretty damn tanky at this stage, though. And there is a shockwave. Gonna pull in 2, including the AD carry. Bad news for Holy Phoenix. Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, but Choo-Choo's has gone so low that he has to back away. 3 of the others are at half HP.
Everybody from Legacy's blown their ultimates. They've caught Ejim.
Oh, and it's gonna be followed through here by Crystalem, and he manages to flash out there as well. One man down. Choo-Choo's did heal himself up so he can get back to the fight. The hook almost connecting onto Cardred there as well. Will they be able to hold on to this turret though?
Very, very impressive from Touch, managing to get that Mikhail's Crucible heal onto Crystal M. It saved his life. They've hooked Minky well. I think they're going in.
Oh, they're going to try and burst him down. There's a lot of damage, but no finisher in the end. Crystal M and Fabulous going very low. Double kill comes in. Holy Phoenix can have his GA popped, and you have to feel just going to go straight down afterwards. Everything piled on top, and there is a shutdown from Choo Choo.
And that is exactly why Dark Passage were not grouping for the last 10 minutes, why they were not presenting a potential team fight. Once Legacy have Irelia as well as Orianna on the front line, they're able to run Dark Passage down. They do grab themselves 3 kills. They're going to get a tower, claw back a small amount of gold. But the problem for Dark Passage is their composition's not team fight based. I was trying to make a point just before that dive in the middle lane really started off the whole fight. Dark Passage do not have a team comp that wants to 5v5. They want to play the map. They want to push the side lanes. The trick for them is figuring out how to get more damage on the towers, because they've used 2 full Baron buffs and not taken an inhibitor turret, despite sieging for that extended period of time.
Yeah, the other problem for Dark Passage is that they were all dead, but now they've respawned. There's a shockwave. Wow. Naru uses a very quick Zhonya's as Fabulous is going to get himself one. Can they get any more from this? Stun card onto Carbon. There's a lot of damage coming his way. Have they got the finisher? Surely Fabulous has got enough. He does have enough, and he's now dominating at 7-2-6.
Infinity Edge critical hit melting through Choo Choo's. Fab hasn't stopped yet. He's going to continue chasing. Now he's the one that may get turned upon.
Chomper's down, but Fabulous doesn't run in. And yeah, Cardred's dead. Because he's just completely out of position there. And that is going to be 3 men down. And this is what they probably needed to actually crack this inhibitor turret ring. And they will manage to take this one down. Inhibitor should follow as well with 3 men down. Dark Passage might even go for a push on the Nexus turret.
Again, greed from Legacy. They got the kills, they survived. Egypt's going down. He didn't even get his ultimate off to slow Dark Passage. With 4 members down and Choo Choo's 10 seconds away, they're going for the Nexus turret. Joe?
And why not use that chance that it's there? Minky Whale, meanwhile, being caught out. They're going to pile the damage his way as the first Nexus turret will fall. Minky Whale is going to go down as Naru gets a killing spree. Choo Choo's was caught in 3-man shockwave, but I don't think it's enough here. They focus in that Nexus as Carbon gets his ultimate instantly interrupted. Nexus goes down, and Dark Passage win game 1 and move a closer step to Worlds.
Legacy got greedy. They managed to win a team fight after defending 2 Baron buffs, after descending the onslaught from Dark Passage. They took towers in the bottom lane. Minky Whale teleported, he had the support of Choo Choo's, and they were going for an inner turret. I just feel the strategic decision-making is not 100% where it should have been that game. But a bit of credit to Legacy. They did dig deep, they did defend for an extended period of time.
The question is, though, best of 5 here. Dark Passage, we have to say that one was 40 minutes and 39 seconds. Felt like the longest game we've seen from Wildcard. Yeah. It may very well have actually been the longest game that we've seen from Wildcard so far, just showing that these teams, despite that crazy fight play style that they had yesterday, this was a completely different setup for Dark Passage.
Yeah, it really, really was. And they demonstrated an understanding of how to play it. They did play the split push well. They did control the map. But they didn't really know how to finish the game. It kind of felt like that split push idea. They were like, we've got 85% of it licked, and we just don't really know how to break those inhibitor turrets. And then on the other side, Legacy, I really like the Nunu Brown combo. I actually felt like they stacked their ultimates effectively, but just being over-aggressive. You know, every time they did win a fight, oh, we'll go push mid lane. Oh, Twisted Fate's there, we kind of forgot about him. Oh, let's go push bottom lane. Oh, Twisted Fate, we kind of forgot about him. It just felt like they were maybe underestimating the turnaround potential TF brought to the table.
And we also have to say, because it's a best of 5, that Legacy by no means out of this one. I mean, if you look at the scoreline from that, 22-16 overall, very close in terms of kills, but that split push was too much for them. We did see them say, okay, we have to do something about this. Let's fight. They got kills, and they ended up pushing down a lot of turrets for it, but just stuck around too long.
I actually really like what Legacy did in picks and bans. I feel the Jinx lock-in was incredibly smart, because we did not see Cogmore coming out of Holy Phoenix yesterday, and Tristana was banned. So I like the pick and ban theory that they've done, at least for the red side. I want to see what Legacy do on blue side in game 2.
Well, 1-0 for Dark Passage. Now let's send it over to the analyst desk for a breakdown of game number 1.
Thank you very much, Joe. And yeah, gentlemen, as Trevor said, very smart lock, and maybe that jinx, a good comp coming out of Legacy eSports. Before we went into the game, what were your thoughts on it?
Sorry, just to grab this one for it.
I know you're excited about it. Go for it.
So I like the teamfight potential of Legacy's comp, but I didn't actually like the idea behind it, because Dark Passage showed yesterday they were the better team in the early game. So their tactic coming into the game was, we're going to pick a strong 2v2 bottom lane, we're going to pick a strong 1-on-1 top laner, and we have Twisted Fate in the mid lane to then snowball the 2 lanes as well. Which meant, once Legacy locked in their teamfight comp, they were weaker in the top lane, at least in the start. They were weaker in the bottom lane as well, and ended up losing both towers in top and the bottom lane, fell behind in gold, and once Twisted Fate hit his level 6, he could help assisting the lanes as well. So it was a risky tactic from Legacy, but if they survived the early game, gone to team fights, it could have worked out. It just didn't.
And looking at the lanes themselves, obviously that top lane pairing, we saw Minky Whale losing it. That's the 3rd game running now he's lost out in that lane. And you got to wonder, because Lee Sin was first pick, so Nidalee was available to him. Clearly it seems to be a champion that he doesn't play, so they may well have to ban it away, because Fabulous is really good on that champion, it seems. You know, we saw the duel at the top lane, and then just suddenly got caught out. The burst damage, was not expecting it, and then caught out. Managed to just about score a kill back on him. That delayed things, but that's about all it did.
Yeah, absolutely, and very impacting for the rest of the game as well, because Nidalee basically just went where she pleased, even though Aurelia was able to kill her maybe later on, but it never really got to that point. She could always divert attention and let their team just push.
Yeah, so once Aurelia got her Trinity Force completed, she started really winning the one-on-one fights. But then as soon as we got some tank items on Nidalee, she became stronger again, and Aurelia kind of lost her mid-game power spike. And then in the variant, we just saw the last 20 minutes, every time Minky Whale tried to jump on Nidalee, he did no damage. So yeah, you can maybe push him back a little bit, but he will always get out sustained in that case, and we just saw the tower take some damage, and then Fabulous jump back to the tower again and again, and Minky Whale couldn't deal with him in the end, and they had to send up someone else. And again, the whole idea from Dark Passage was just this 1-3-1 split push, where Holy Phoenix was sitting in the mid lane, and you had, of course, Twisted Fate in one lane, and you had Nidalee in the other one, and you just push down every single lane, and you just look for picks every time you had the chance here. So again, they played it smart, because they did manage to win the lanes. They got the standard lanes as well. If Legacy wants to play teamfight comp, and wants to play against Nidalee in this case here, they have to force a lane swap. And how do you do it? Well, you have to go in and do what a Dark Passage is doing against Legacy, get the deep ward, spot where the dual lane is going, and then swap around it. Otherwise, they might be in for the same deal here, lose the bottom lane, lose the top lane, and then you're just too far behind to actually teamfight.
Yeah, and D-Man, as we got further in the game, Legacy realized we are behind here, and what does Legacy do when they're behind or when they're in front? They fight, but they should have just maybe waited it out a little bit more to see if they could come back in this game.
Yeah, fight. It's all they seem to want to try and do. And we saw it yesterday in the second group stage game against Dark Passage. They went for that crazy fight down the bottom lane, if you remember it, and it went a little too far. They probably should have backed out, but they went back in. Well, they did the same again here in the mid lane, and they just all piled down there. It was kind of a case of, okay, we have a rush comp, we can pile down this mid lane, it's great, we're going to catch out. But again, like you said, lack of warding. They didn't realize basically Dark Passage was just setting a trap. A few had gone back to base, 2 were waiting in the bushes, and they pounced.
Yeah, let's actually take a look at a replay of that mid-game where Legacy tried to go in, tried to set things straight, and saw, well, we can have someone here, we can just pin him down and kill him easily, but it didn't go that easily.
Right, so sadly, the clip we have right here, we don't get to see the items just yet. But at this point here, Orianna has a lot of gold. Actually running from base, death cap is not completed yet. So Twisted Fate at this point is actually almost 2 items ahead of Orianna in this case, and therefore also a lot weaker. And of course, because you have TF ult, you join the fight instantly, Orianna has to run from base. But let's just start rolling it here. Carbon is very low on mana, and we also have to notice, now we get a pentakill and now we get the fight. But anyway, we have to...
Well,
it's like a remix
it's like
version.
Flashback.
It is a good remix.
I mean, that's just that may well be a flashback of what they will get with Holy Phoenix getting a pentakill. It may well happen again.
Could have happened.
But make your point.
Anyway, so the point was here. Legacy at this point is already very far behind in gold. They're behind in items. They're also picking a fight against the TF who has ulti, so he's joining in with their own mid lane and won't be able to join. Carbon was very low on mana. He only used his ult. And
yeah, he was in a perfect spot in between them with 3 members around him with the AD carry, but he had no mana, so he was just like stood there. It's like, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything as Nunu. And more importantly, Carbon, Kadrid, or the AD carry, was not basic attacking. He just wasn't attacking at all. He was Jinx, and he was running back and forward. He didn't know what to do.
It was just a very risky decision, and it's again also them saying we are behind in gold. We feel like we have the better team fight anyway because our comp should be better team fighting. It just doesn't work that way, especially not early game and mid game where you are so far behind in gold. I mean, comp kind of becomes irrelevant all of a sudden because, oh, this guy has 2 items more than me. He's going to be stronger no matter what.
Yeah, Dark Passage was very far ahead. So far ahead, they broke the replay, but we're going to see what they can do here in the next game. We need to take a quick break, but we'll be back in 3.5 with Game 2 between Legacy Esports and Dark Passage. Don't touch that browser.
I don't know what it is today. Literally, just do your best. Do what you can. Just play your best, and we'll win.
Stun card goes on towards Carbon. God bursts the damage from the Wildcard flashing. Holy Phoenix going deep. Gets himself one. The hook on 3G will get them a second. We are going to see a Destiny coming into the back. They're going to go for Choo Choo. Shockwave will bring him in, but that's not going to be enough to save his life. Zonya's used by Naru at the back. The absolute zero. Doesn't really do all that much, but there's the Super Mega Death Rocket.
Managing to get that Mikhail's Crucible heal onto Crystal M and saved his life. They've hooked Mickey well. I think they're going to get...
Oh, they're going to try and burst him down. There's a lot of damage, but no finisher in the end. Crystal M and Fabulous going very low.